Sometimes the revolution is quiet. That's certainly the case with Formula E. Launched in 2014, it's an all-electric racing circuit that wants to capture the excitement around one of the most successful sports in the world, car racing.
Evans cuts across and a crunch of carbon fiber.
It's a plan that's at once obvious and utterly audacious. Sure, the world's accelerating toward a greener future, spurred by the devastating effects of climate change. But success for Formula E means a tricky balance of competing stakeholders. We're talking about automakers eager for a new technology, would-be customers for electric cars, and of course, finicky fans. And some of them are quite happy to keep watching faster, louder cars speed through the world's greatest cities.
The main power of sports is the fact that it touches the heart, the mind, the souls of its fans. Definitely, transport sector is one of the big areas where the world needs massively to improve.
If you think about the 25 most watched television programs ever, 24 were sport events. If you can use the power of sport for a positive agenda, that's really powerful.
I'm here in Monaco, which is known for lots of things, especially things related to money. It's also really known for its role in the world of motorsports, fast cars. In fact, the Monaco Grand Prix happens on the streets just behind me. Monaco's a tiny country, the world's second smallest, in fact, trailing only the Vatican. It's tucked along the Riviera between France and Italy. And when you think of Monaco, the first things that come to mind are probably James Bond movies or the fast, beautiful cars. Its status as one of the world's premier motor racing stages came after World War II, when Formula One races began emerging through Europe. The sport quickly attracted both drivers willing to travel the world to race and a rabid fan base hoping to witness the spectacle in person or on TV. While Formula One races could initially buy and race their own cars, it also attracted major automakers like Mercedes-Benz, Alfa Romeo, and Maserati to showcase their latest and greatest motor tech. Tech like active suspension and carbon brakes that would eventually distill down to cars we see on the road today. F1 also created legends like Juan Manuel Fangio, Lewis Hamilton, and of course, Michael Schumacher.
Michael Schumacher leads the World Championship.
Formula One's a huge sport in Europe and Asia, averaging more than 900,000 viewers per race. That's on par with some of the UFC fights we see here in the States, with the audience growing partly due to an unlikely source, Netflix.
Formula One is the ultimate competition.
Drive to Survive, a series that documents the drama on and especially off the track, is one of the streamer's biggest hits of the past several years. It's drawn in a whole new generation of fans tuning in and showing up to the races.
Netflix are a real bunch of aren't they?
Every year, legendary racers navigate the hairpin turns in cities across the world for throngs of fans perched on rooftops and balconies, just trying to catch a glimpse. And a few decades ago, Alejandro Agag was a kid watching from his parents' apartment right here in Monaco.
Yeah, that was the first time I saw a race from the terrace of our apartment where my parents were living. Previously, there was a Formula One driver living there.
No kidding.
So they were in the drawers, there were still some stickers and some things, and it was great to have that memory.
Alejandro is the chairman of Formula E. Politician turned businessman, he found his way to motorsport and ultimately ran a team in 2007 in the second division of Formula One. He went on to recruit sponsors to the circuit, and there he saw an opportunity.
I was at the time working around the Formula One business, mainly with sponsors. In every email, it had some kind of concern about sustainability, about carbon emissions. So that's kind of when I thought we should create a green version of it.
Formula E is trying to ride and accelerate a movement towards sustainability that has urgently risen in the past several years, driven by young activists like Greta Thunberg, part of a generation speaking out loudly about the climate crisis.
When I started my career 10 years ago, sustainability was something that was kind of trendy, but not exactly, like the center of priorities. Definitely Formula E is much more than kind of like a race that is putting cars on track, but Formula E is really a platform that is here to showcase that a sustainable lifestyle that we're going to be finding really cool, really exciting.
This is Julia Pillay. She's the head of sustainability for Formula E. Her job? To make sure the race circuit and its teams are living up to the big promise of helping solve that global crisis.
My mission is to make Formula E the most sustainable sport possible. This is now the first sport in the world to achieve net zero carbon since inception, phasing out of plastic on site, offering vegetarian option to our fans, trying to use less plane to fly over or freight and so on.
But how to go green and who's leading the charge has become tricky. Recently, big companies, including those associated directly with fossil fuels and their consumption, have seen the commercial value of moving toward being more sustainable. Ford has pledged to invest $30 billion in electric vehicles by 2025, having just spent $11 billion this past September on electric trucks and battery plants. Volkswagen is more than doubling that, with the goal of investing $83 billion in the next 4 years. And their involvement has made Alejandro's job trickier.
Some people will not get involved because, but maybe they say that we're doing this to look good. I think so many companies, so many corporations would do more for the environment if they were not scared of someone just coming and calling them greenwashing. You have to include everyone on the climate action. If you don't include everybody, including the big oil companies, including the big energy companies, including everyone, you will not succeed.
That's especially challenging when at least part of Formula E's success relies on the investment of the major car companies. The relationships there have been important, but thorny at times. The car companies very much have a vested interest in using the technologies that Formula E and its teams are collectively developing in their cars.
Motorsport is a sport where the driver puts helmets, they put a specific gloves, so we can take more risk and test very ambitious technologies.
This is Javier Pinón. He's the technical director for FIA, the governing body that sits across both Formula One and Formula E.
The voltage for the usual EV car in the street, it's something between 200, 300, 400 volt. In a Formula E car, it's close to 1000 volt. For sure, we will not be able to take the part from the race car to put it in the road car, but the technology inside will be the same. Thanks to the motorsport, the car manufacturer can take more risk, can accelerate the research and the development with the supplier.
But keeping the manufacturers engaged via teams has proven elusive. Both BMW and Audi earlier this year said they wouldn't field teams in the upcoming season, claiming they have what they need for now, from a technical perspective, to help with their EV push. Alejandro? He's unfazed. He said it was a natural circle of life he'd seen before in motorsports.
It happened in Formula One. We had a few manufacturers, German manufacturers, that came on board. The budget go up, and then they say, it's too expensive, and they leave.
For other car makers, Formula E continues to be a valuable lab, especially as EVs seek to make the jump from selling to affluent customers in the West to more emerging markets. The latter is where Mahindra Group is focused.
When we got into Formula E, we were really thrilled with the level of competition we got. We were now, for the first time, having a platform to show the quality of our product against what was perceived the best in the world. There's no reason why a Mercedes or a BMW in the Indian market should command a 250% premium.
This is Dilbagh Gill. He runs Mahindra's racing team. He's a veteran of that Indian conglomerate and deeply tied to sports in general, and motorsports in particular. When the opportunity to run the Formula E team came up at a dinner almost a decade ago, he volunteered.
We were evaluating motorsport platforms in 2012 after some amount of success with the motorcycle racing. And when Formula E came to us, it sort of segued really into what we were looking at in the next 10 years in terms of our mobility solution. So we took a call to participate. I was with, Anand Mahindra and a couple of other people at a dinner in Delhi. I just raised my hand and said, can I have the opportunity to run the team? And sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for because it comes true, and that came true that evening.
Mahindra has a different market, in scale and potentially in terms of difficulty. India's power grid is notoriously underdeveloped and unreliable. And the vehicle fleets aren't just mid-sized sedans and SUVs in many parts of that country, but small vehicles called tuk-tuks.
Interestingly, today, the largest selling product which we have is electric tuk-tuks. We are selling, maybe 5,000 to 6,000 per month, and it's only increasing. It's just that we can't keep up with the demand at this point of time. When you talk about pollution, we are not only just talking about smog and smoke, but we need to talk about noise pollution. Think of the loud exhaust noise coming from a tuk-tuk which is accelerating down the street, and now you have silent tuk-tuks or a silent bus going by. It tremendously improves the quality of life.
We did not join Formula E for technology.
We joined Formula E because we felt it was important for us to be a partner in the sustainability effort. So Mahindra plays in 20 different industries. Our biggest industries are auto, farm equipment. We have a real estate business and a logistics business. We then have a solar business. We've got a company that recycles automobiles. And we've got a number of other businesses around aerospace, defense, agriculture, and a few others.
While they may have a huge slate of entities in its roster, both Mahindra and Formula E recognize the power of sport in cultures across the world and its ability to influence change. You've seen this, as you say, from different perspectives, both at Michelin and now being part of the Formula E team. What is it about sport and sport that influences us, do you think?
I think the main power of sports is the fact that it touches literally the heart, the mind, the souls of its fans. Whatever is your sport, you're like a kid in front of the athletes. You're really inspired by what they do, what they achieve.
It's a sport where you've got not only the focus on climate change, but more importantly, it's a lot more fun because the racing happens in city centers. And that will also have people start looking at EVs in a different light and say that this is a great option for us.
If you look at it on a per capita basis, India is the world's worst sporting nation. 1.3 billion people, and we really don't have much of record in sports. So I think through Mahindra, through our various initiatives, what we're trying to do is help people to move from viewership to participation.
And as a recovering politician, Alejandro also sees Formula E as an engine for political and social change.
I just came back from Saudi Arabia. I was scouting locations near Neom. It used to be very closed, very strict.
Very closed, yeah.
And of course, there's still a long way to go, but I think they're making good progress, especially with women. Now women can drive, for example. Actually, Formula E was really part of the change in Saudi. Because we were the first event ever where women and men, non-related, were allowed to just be together and dance. We were really proud to be able to be part of the change.
For Alejandro, Formula E is part of a broader portfolio of electrification in sports. He also runs Extreme E. That's an off-road racing series that uses all-electric vehicles. And the week we met in Monaco, he was in town to take advantage of another quintessential piece of Monaco, the boating industry. The Monaco Yacht Show was set to kick off, and one evening, Alejandro and his team took over the Monaco Yacht Club's deck to unveil an electric speedboat that will race around that harbor and several other famous waterfronts starting in 2023.
We launched the Racebird, the electric powerboat that is going to be the boat that is going to race on the E1 World Championship, electric powerboat World Championship. This process is starting now all around the world. That's why it's the best moment to create a championship, an electric powerboat championship, to serve as a platform for the industry to kind of showcase what it's doing to decarbonize. You have to basically move to electric mobility, electric propulsion in every space. You have to move on the cars, you have to move on the roads, and you have to move on the sea. This is the boat. You see the foils, the propeller in the back. The battery will be behind the pilot. The pilot goes there. And it's designed by the designer, Sophie Horn, Norwegian designer.
It looks like a fighter jet.
It looks like a fighter jet combined with a X-Wing from Star Wars, combined with many...
It's science fiction.
Science fiction.
In many ways. How fast? Do you know?
60 knots. Yeah, they'll go fast.
Now the real work begins, right?
Yeah, now the real work begins. Cities, sponsors create the calendar, and start making everything real. So in 2 years, or less than 2 years, a year and a half, we hit the ground running.
In the meantime, there's the matter of the upcoming season of Formula E. Alejandro will spend a lot of time thinking about sponsors and teams, and across those teams, they'll be thinking about the next generation of technology in their cars, known as Gen 3. There's a lot of excitement around what that could mean on the course and back in our garages.
Gen 3, we will reduce the weight of the car, something like 60 kilo. The biggest improvement is the fact that in the very beginning of the Formula E car, we used 2 batteries per race for 45 minutes. Next year, in the end of 2022, we will use only 1 car, 1 battery.
A lighter car with 1 less battery means the car overall will have a smaller carbon footprint. The battery's also expected to have a faster charge time. That means it won't require a battery swap mid-race. it also means all of us could spend less time charging EVs and more time on the road. Then, of course, came the big existential questions around the future of cars, race cars, and naturally, Formula One and Formula E. Alejandro's vision is crystal clear. Someday, they will be one.
I see a convergence at some point between Formula One and Formula E because Formula One is gonna lose its industry. There's not gonna be more combustion cars sold in the UK in 2030. So what's the point of a combustion race in the UK in 2030 if you cannot buy combustion cars? Right. So eventually Formula One is gonna have to do something electric. And the only way to do it is with us because we have an exclusive license from the International Federation until 2039.
For now, the circuits exist in something like parallel, with the much younger Formula E gaining some ground, if only because it's in tune with the broader global move to sustainability and the stated goal of most major automakers to ditch internal combustion engines.
People perceive motorsport to be really glamorous and stuff out there, but reality, trust me, is yes, we are cleaning up a lot of stuff. I feel it's not a job, it's a mission, and I'm not yet close to even finishing it.